G'day, it's FIDE Master John Curtis, and today I've got a special treat for you. I've done a little bit of research and we're going to do a special on Mikhails Navy. This is not to be confused between Mikhails Navy, which was with actor Ernest Borgnine. It was a TV sitcom, American sitcom. It had 138 episodes between 1962 to 66 about a World War II PT boat and a bunch of misfits, including the comedian Tim Conway. No, it's called Mikhails Navy because of the final position in the game. When you see that, you'll see it's like a flotilla of battleships. And Mikhail TAL surrounds his opponent with this big, huge flotilla, like this huge navy. And we'd call the armoured division of the Rooks and the Queen and all the heavy artillery as the battleships. Okay, rightio there. The game is between Mikhail TAL and Alexander Koblenz. It was played in Riga in 1957, and it's called Mikhails Navy, as in Mikhail TAL, the great world champion. One of my followers on Twitch asked me to do another video on a YouTube video on TAL, because he loves TAL. And I can tell you a few things about his opponent Koblenz. TAL had a good relationship with Koblenz. In actual fact, Koblenz coached TAL against Botvinnik on 2 occasions. And he worked with TAL and TAL's development, Mikhail TAL's development, between 1949 to the early 1950s. And so this was like a training game more than anything else, I suppose, for these 2 characters. And you'll see at the end that TAL had a much higher perfection rate in the game than what his compatriot friend Koblenz did. Koblenz also, there's an interesting name, Koblenz too. It was established by the Roman Drusus, a military post in 8 BC. It originates from the name confluence, or a confluence of rivers, you know, where the rivers meet. And it just so happens these battleships, at the end of the game, when you see the final position, you'll see the confluence of the ships, and the way they all join together, the Queens and the Rooks, these battleships, and they all meet around the king. And that's why it's called Mikhails Navy. Koblenz actually won the Latvian Championship 4 times. I think he won in 40, 41, 45 and 46. He was the editor of the Latvian chess magazine Sars, or Shark or Chess, and the Berlin chess magazine Shark Journal. Shark is chess in German, isn't it, right? As we all know. And he had a book too, Shark Training mit Ex-Weltmeister, because obviously a German book, Shark Training mit Ex-Weltmeister TAL. And it looked like that what do you call it? A compendium of both players. They put it together, TAL and Koblenz. So they were like dual authors, I think. Anyway, TAL would have contributed to the book. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to go into the game now, and let's see what happened. Okay, so we have Mikhail TAL with the white pieces. And we are playing a Sicilian Defence Open Classical, like a Richter Rouser, I think. Knight F3, D6 by Koblenz, D4, all book moves, as you can see by the little indicators. Knight takes, Knight F6, Knight C3, all the usual suspects as far as the opening moves in the beginning of the game. And now we've got Sicilian Defence, the Open Classical still. E6, just a book move. Queen to D2. More theory. Bishop to E7. Castles, a book move. And castles for black. So nothing too untoward happening. So you think, well, what's this massive attack we're talking about? And how can the game finish quickly from here? Anyway, knight to b3. This is a book move. I haven't played that one before. I normally play the old f4 line myself. This move, f4 here. And I usually play queen f3, which TAL played in Portoroz in 1968 for one of the first times. That was later on in TAL's development, where as a world champion he was a bit sharper. But nonetheless, he still does a pretty good job in this game. Queen to b6. Apparently that's a book move. And f3. Now White's plan is simply to play g4, g5, disrupt move the bishop back and belt the queen. And before he does that, he just wants to protect the pawn chain there, make sure that this base pawn on f3 is doing its job. So a6 and g4 now, star move, the best move. He wants to make a quick move down on before black can play d5. And now rook to d8. Now here I would have played. The engine says queen c7 was a better move. I think that should be duly noted. In this position, I would be tending to want to play bishop e3 and belt the queen, then play g4 straight away. But TAL has other ideas. Oh, he does it. No, bishop there, queen there. Okay, so we've got best moves there. h4. Now, I thought that was an accuracy too. I thought, oh, g5 looks best, but apparently the engine's saying queen c2. I just simply, the engine's pointing with the arrow there. He simply wants to play bishop here with the queen behind it, and attack the queen and the rook, okay? It can be stopped with knight d7 by black. So, I mean, but that's what the engine's simple plan is. b5. d5 should have been played, and that's why the engine's saying it's an inaccuracy, that h4 move. He's saying you should really belt the knight, because now d5 could have been played. It would have been a thematic breakthrough in the middle of the game. But again, I think it's just more of a training game than anything else. After all, Koblenz was known as the trainer of TAL. So anyway, g5, star move, best move. Dislocate that knight from playing the thematic d5 move, which the engine said was recommending a move earlier. Now knight d7. Now black seems to still be able to hide behind his pawns, but white's got tremendous spatial advantage, and space is really important in these types of games, because space gives you time. It gives you time to mount an attack and to also to weather an attack. So if you've got a large spatial advantage, then it's much harder for your opponent to sort of counter-attack you. It takes a lot longer, doesn't it, right, for his attack to get through. Okay, now TAL sees that there's no pieces in this grid that I'm showing you. So I've shown the arrows there, and in the box there's only 3 black pawns. And I'm sure TAL looks at the position the way I'm pointing out, and that is there's no pieces around the black king to defend it. So TAL says, oh, well, my name's Mikhail TAL. I like to sacrifice queens and rooks and bishops and knights and all sorts of things. So I'm just going to, what's a pawn to me? It's nothing. It's nothing, absolutely nothing. I laughed in the face of danger, says TAL. Anyway, let's see what happens. H takes. Apparently F takes was the best move, according to the engine. And now H5. Trying to open up the H file. And he takes it off. Apparently not the best move again. The engine's saying you should really play B4 and try to get some sort of counter-attack going straight away. You haven't got the time to dilly-dally around here, Sonny Jim. But TAL just takes the pawn off, and Koblenz replies with, hey, student, move your castle. And so he does, obediently. He puts it on, he listens to the old master. He puts his rook, well, he was a young master then. He puts his rook on H1, star move, best move. And the reason why is you don't want to put it on h3 because it might get kicked by the black bishop on c8 if e5 is played. So you don't want to go there. And he doesn't want to go to h4 because the knight might move and attack his rook again. So he decides to put his rook back on h1. And also his plan is to play queen over here and simply checkmate down the back. Right, so that's Tal's thinking. He likes checkmates. He likes quick checkmates. He likes to get a result for his pawn sacrifice. Okay, so d5 is played. And now this is where Tal just keeps throwing material at his opponent to distract him at every single opportunity. Now this move is an inaccuracy. A bishop b7, funnily enough, was the best move. It would have connected the rooks when the bishop moves to b7, I should say. The two rooks would be connected at the back, and basically he would be able to dig in tight and try to hold his game as best as he can. But I think he was really worried about this move. He played here. He doesn't muck around, does he? Tal wants to give another pawn away. You know what it was? He doesn't want to play pawn takes pawn, open up all these pieces. He just wants to get black a bit uncomfortable. Now, if black was to take the pawn off with the queen, his queen would be trapped, right? So if queen takes pawn, okay, the bishop would go to f4 and the queen would be trapped. So you can't take the pawn with the queen. So it looks like there's a pawn there for nothing. But no, you can take it with the knight, but you can't take it with the queen. So based on that idea, Tal wants to dislodge this knight on f6, this knight here. He wants to dislodge that knight. So then he's still, with that, when that piece moves, again, there'll be no pieces in that little box, in that little square of 12 squares or 9 squares. There'll be no pieces near the black king. And that is what Tal's trying to do. He's trying to remove defenders from the black king before he makes his big move, queen to h2. Okay, and that's just logical chess, okay, on Tal's part. Now, his opponent decides, oh no, well, might as well take the pawn, and it's the best move according to the engine. And Tal pins the knight, and that's apparently incorrect. The correct move was queen to h2, right? It's queen to h2 is the best, and now apparently the engine's saying that black is better. But Tal's got other ideas. Bishop d6. Koblenz, you master trainer, you found the best move. And the engine is approving, and the engine's saying on the bar on the left-hand side of the board, Koblenz, young master, you still got the goods. And now queen to h2. And now black's still winning according to the engine. King to f8. Well, knight to g6 was the correct move. Had to just simply stop the check, right? So knight to g6 would have threatened the change of bishops and simply stop the check. Okay. Okay, so Tal gives a check, and the engine says it's a mistake and king b1 was best. Well, amazing, isn't it? This is how we play chess today. Knight to g8. Well, king e7 was the best move, right? Because black was actually threatening knight to d6 check, right? Okay, and then bishop takes bishop check, and then controlling his black squares with an adequate defense. And then, of course, black would still have his rolling pawns coming down on the queen side. Okay, so let's see what happens. Rook to h7, star move. Just simply threatens queen takes pawn check and a winning attack. Okay. Koblenz plays f5. It's brilliant. The engine gives a double exclamation mark as a brilliant move, and black's winning. Right, so Koblenz is playing like a super champion. And what that does is that actually allows the queen to indirectly defend the g-pawn. Really important move, and that's why the engine's given f5 as brilliant and a double exclamation mark. So TAL plays bishop to h6. Now, obviously, he's got another piece on this g-pawn, on this lonely little g-pawn there. And you can see the queen's attacking it, the rook's attacking, the bishop's attacking it. Now, you can't take the bishop with the pawn because rook takes, queen wins, right? Okay, and similarly, you can't take the bishop with the knight because the queen has got put the king in check. Okay, so let's see what happens. Rook to d7, star move. Now black has got adequate material along there to defend that g-pawn, which is under heavy battery of attack. And that's, remember, the warships. I'm giving you the image of the warships all surrounding the king. The heavy artillery. So we've got a queen and a rook. Now, this is a typical move in Sicilians, where you play bishop takes pawn, a clearing move. You take the b pawn, even though it's protected by a pawn. And then if the pawn recaptures, then the knight would come in. Knight takes and attack the bishop. Okay? And attack the queen, trying to dislodge the pieces a little bit. But more importantly, when the bishop moves here along this diagonal, it clears the rook for the other rook to come over here and bear pressure down on this g-pawn. And so that's what he's really doing. He's trying to distract black, right? So he can move. So the weapons of war are all within this block here, as shown by those two arrows. I'll do it again. This block here, all the weapons of war, black's weapons of war, are in that box. Now around the king, there's only a knight. There's only really just one knight in this box here, right? There's only one knight in that box, okay? Right, there's only one knight in that box, and that's the way TAL likes it. He likes a king with no protection. Okay, so let's see what happens. He ignores the bishop and moves his rook away. Apparently knight g6 was best, attacking the queen. Okay, right. All right then. So let's see now. They could have been in time trouble at this stage. I don't know what's going on. Okay, we're in move 26, but we don't know what the clocks were as far as these two guys are going, and they're just going for it, hammer and tong, and throwing pieces at each other. Rook to g1. Now the whole idea here is put more pressure on that g-pawn. Let's see what transpires. Rook to a7, star move. So now that the rook, this is called a rook lift. He's lifted his rook up one rank, and then now the rook covers that diagonal, and in particular the g-pawn again. You the besieged g-pawn, but you could now a knight comes into the game. I mean, how many pieces? He's just throwing it over there. I think this must be time trouble. But it's a mistake. Well, TAL doesn't make mistakes. Not in 1957. He's starting to become somewhat of a great player even then. So, but yeah, I think just general as a principle, TAL likes to throw his pieces into it. So if they're in some type of time scramble or something, that'd explain the move. Anyway, knight to g5 is played. So again, pawn takes bishop is not the correct move. The engine's saying knight to g4, I should say. That cuts off the rook attack on the g-pawn, you see. And the engine likes it. And TAL likes it too. He takes it off. It's the best move, apparently. Now white's winning. You can see the bar on the left-hand side of the board. Pieces are starting to disappear around the around the black king. Around the black king. So now if you played pawn takes bishop, yeah, now if you played, let's have a look now. If you play here, pawn takes bishop, white could actually play queen takes knight check. And if almost play that. He can almost play it, but he can't. Let's see what he does do. He plays bishop e5. He protects the g-pawn. Question mark. Apparently bishop to attacking the rook is a good idea, according to the engine. God, the engines see everything, don't they? Anyway, knight here now. It's a logical move when you think about it from a human perspective. Not that Tal was human or anything, he was superhuman. But now Tal plays the knight in there, attacking the rook and the bishop. Okay, the defender of the g-pawn. Now, bishop takes knight. Bishop comes back. Well, why would the bishop come back? I'll tell you why the bishop would come back. The bishop wants to come here and go check. It's not after the rook, it's after that bishop check. It's a clearing move. Okay? So now, pawn there to stop the check. Star move. Rook to h1. Threatening queen takes knight check. Okay? And now the rook moves to d7. Star move, the best move. And now what's played? Bishop to g. You see what Tal does? Despite all these pieces hanging on all over the board, Tal just moves his bishop over there, anything to cover a square anywhere near the king, right? He doesn't want, he wants all these pieces hanging around, or what's left of his pieces, around near the king. Pawn takes bishop. Well, at this stage, position's even, according to the engine. The position is even. How do you like that, eh? Okay, so Tal plays rook to h6. He's moving his heavy navy, his Mikhails navy, into the position. We can see something opening up here. And now, pawn there. Uh-oh, that's a blunder. Bishop takes b2 check was the best move. And now pawn takes bishop. That eliminates a key defender to the position. Check. That's a good move. King d1 is best. And now, that bar says, it says Mikhails navy, the whole flotilla is coming in. Rook checks. Now look at all, it's a battering ram. Look at all the heavy pieces there. Unbelievable stuff. Rook there, that's just a blatant mistake. And after queen takes pawn check, black resigns. He's had enough. Because if he moves the king to e7, there's a double check coming in there. Double check. Right? A double check. It's just a massive loss of material. So, it'd be a double check, and after the rook falls over the other side of the board, you'd have this position here, and then the navy's got complete control of the seven seas. Oh, what a game! What a player, Mikhail TAL. What a play. Oh, gee, he loves to sacrifice pieces, doesn't he? And I'm sure that if you go on YouTube and have a look at a lot of the other videos and just type in TAL, you're going to see some fantastic works of art. And YouTube channels like Agad and others have, Surin, they've all covered a lot of TAL's games. But I put that one in there for you because I thought I could give you a lot of history about the shenanigans of what was going on there in Mikhails navy, you know, the old TV sitcom. I think it was PT boat. It was actually a PT boat, like PT 73. And I think, if I remember correctly, President Kennedy, John Kennedy, one of the great American presidents, he served in the war, and he actually was in command of a PT boat, which he got acknowledged for heroism in the Second World War. So anyway, without further ado, I am going to say arrivederci, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, please, if you like the video, and please subscribe so you can get notifications. Subscription's free on YouTube to get notification of more of my content as I load it. Thank you again, and goodbye for now. Bye from FIDE Master Johnny Curtis from Australia.